I decided to take the most expensive decision in my whole life. This beautiful innocent dog, who goes by the name of Nighty, was shot in his back while sleeping in North Lebanon, Akkar. People in the village contacted me and told me that he has been bleeding for over 3 nights. I immediately went there and transported him to Tripoli. The doctor did an x-ray for him, and unfortunately the result was so sad. Nighty has 0% to walk again. He lost one leg completely, he lost the sense in his tail, and there was only 1% hope in the other leg. He was doomed to be paralyzed his whole life. The shot in his back left a huge hole with over 400 tiny bullets on his spine. Who shoots a dog in his sleep? This is crazy, aggressive, inhumane, unfair, and very evil. At first, we put a muzzle on his face. We feared his reaction, but with time, we discovered that Nighty has a very poor and damaged and broken character. He had those sad eyes. It was obvious just through his eyes that he was enduring a lot of pain. His silence killed me. He also lost all his nerves in the lower area, which made him do number 1 and number 2 involuntary. It was so sad seeing him barely eating, and if he eats anything, he would immediately take it down. Whenever we tried to make him walk, he would collapse on his legs and pee himself out of fear. This was very clear that this dog is traumatized. 1 week passed and we did not see any improvement. This dog was locked up in a cage at the vet in Tripoli. And you do know that when a dog gets locked up, stress and depression goes up. So I knew deep inside that this dog is not going to improve. And I was right, because his health was deteriorating. I was visiting him on a daily basis, and I was talking to him, caressing him, petting him, and hugging him, hoping that he would do a reaction. His sadness killed me. I even tried to give him treats, yet he did not eat. Every single time that I visited him, I would go back to my house damaged from the inside, and maybe even more depressed than Nighty himself. He wouldn't turn his face to me, he wouldn't look at me, and he wouldn't even eat. It broke me from the inside that I wasn't able to do anything for this dog. He was just alive because he wasn't able to die. One night I decided that the following day I'm gonna take Nighty to Beirut, to the capital, to the best vet in the country. He was known for doing miracles. He had the reputation of making paralyzed dogs walk again. And this statement allured me. I was so hopeful for Night to walk again that I would do anything. Even if I fall in debt for over 1 year, I just wanted to see him smile, laugh, happy, and hopefully walk again. It was the craziest, riskiest, and most expensive decision in my whole life. But I didn't care. I went to Beirut without even thinking. I swear to God, and I swear on my father's grave that this dog's face totally changed over there. He was smiling to everybody. Nighty, who had 0 expressions, was smiling to everybody, even to strangers. At that moment, I knew that I took the right decision. I was waiting for my turn and smiling back at Nighty. Dr. Roy, that reputable doctor, came in with a small smile on his face, and he said to me, "I know you. You are that rescuer from the north." And I said humbly, "Of course you do." He took a closer look at Nighty and he started examining him. He ordered a CT scan, a culture test, a blood test, and a CBC. He told me that Nighty has to stay here for over 10 days, and based on the CT scan results, he would start his treatment. I said goodbye to Nighty, I kissed him on his face, I gave him a long hug, because deep inside I had this fear that it may be the last time I see his face in my life. You never know, complications do happen, and I might lose him. I kind of teared up, but I sucked it in. I came back to my house in Tripoli, hoping that I would hear great news in the coming days. Immediately the next day, Dr. Roy called me and said that right now nothing can be done for Nighty. He has a lot of bullets in his back, which are making a huge compression on his spine, and all these bullets inside his back created toxins. He issued the bill, which gave me a heart attack. It was so expensive that I swear my heart nearly stopped. I thought to myself, if I work for over 1 year, I wouldn't be able to raise such an amount of money. They charge for one night $60. Imagine that. So since he told me that he has to stay 10 days to gain back his health, I took another decision to check him out. Yeah, call me crazy, but I wouldn't accept for Nighty to live in a prison again for over 10 days. He is a paralyzed dog who is already depressed and stressed. He stayed in a cage for 7 days here at a vet in Tripoli. I wouldn't do the same thing for him all over again in Beirut. I have a friend who lives in LA. Her name is Diana and she has a shelter. She has over 170 dogs and a lot of cats. She has one blind dog. She has over 4 paralyzed dogs, a lot of abused cases, and recently a bunch of dogs who were rescued from the war. I deeply know Diana and I trust her with my life. Do not underestimate Diana's power. You might take one look at her and say, this lady has no life. She lives with over 170 dogs by herself. Maybe she doesn't have a family. Maybe she doesn't have work. She looks a bit poor, humble, and very tired. But what you don't know is that was a TV host. Imagine that. This lady was booked a show after show after show. Yeah, she was really famous in her 20s. Yet, she met one dog that changed her entire life. She decided to let go of fame and all that luxurious life and open a shelter. Oh God, how much I respect her for that, because that is every rescuer's dream. I knew that taking Nighty to her was a good decision. A paralyzed dog needs to be happy in order to heal by himself. And I repeat myself, I do know the power of Diana. So Nighty has 10 days to heal, 10 days to be happy, 10 days to gain humans' trust all over again, 10 days to overcome his trauma, and unfortunately, for me as well, 10 days to raise that huge amount of money as to prepare for his surgery. When we arrived to Diana's shelter, it was the best thing ever. Oh God, even before meeting the dogs, meeting Diana herself was another thing. She's so warm that she gives mother vibes. I immediately went up to meet Titanic, the dog I rescued by my own hands, the dog that I haven't seen for over 6 months now. He immediately remembered me. Imagine that this dog has been run over 3 times by a Range Rover because they did not want him in the area. They wanted to kill him, yet they didn't. They couldn't. I rescued him and I took him to the vet. Unfortunately, it was the same as Knight's story. He was destined to be paralyzed. Diana offered to adopt Titanic and welcome him at her shelter. That is how I know Diana, through Titanic. But I've never met her face to face. I just sent her Titanic through a taxi, and she has been taking care of him for over 6 months now. He gained a lot of weight and he's so happy as well. We did a small tour in her shelter. Oh God, she has a lot of dogs. But what made me sad is that the rooms were very small. The dogs were all locked up. And when I asked her if she lets them out, she said, I couldn't, Hassan. Here in LA, they have the hobby of hunting dogs. But if I let them go to play outside the shelter, they would be shot immediately. It was a strange feeling. The dogs were like prisoners. They had zero room to play or move around. Yet, they were all very healthy. and excited to see us. It made me think to myself, if these dogs only had a fence, a huge one, in fact, a very solid one as well, they would get 2, 3, 4 hours of freedom daily. They would finally get that taste of liberation. They would be really, really happy. It was the time for Diana to meet Knight. Oh God, this beautiful face. The moment we opened the car for Diana to see Nighty, she held him in her hands and she kissed him non-stop. She's a mom. Oh God, she is a mom to all these beautiful dogs there. She prepared for him a separate room only because I insisted. Know that this is the only room that has no dogs in the shelter. She did this to make me happy. She also put a subia for Night in this room, which is a heater that gets heated by wood. She prepared everything, and everything was so hygienic and clean. She even said jokingly that Nighty's name is from now on Nighty Baini, which is her family name, because she is called Diana Baini. She's so sweet and loving and generous despite her humble abilities. She hugged him and kissed his legs. She covered him with a blanket and told me, Hassan, stop it, have no fear. I can read your mind. You know that he's gonna be safe with me. We went up to the living room, which is 2 couches in an open area facing the shelter with a lot of cats. I brought with me from Tripoli cheese kake, which is very traditional over here, and I wanted Diana to try it. Unfortunately, Diana was vegan, and I did not know that. And I respect that at the same time. So she did not eat with us. She just sat there drinking her Nescafe with almond milk, with all that warm aura that she has around her. We said our goodbyes, and I kissed Nighty goodbye, and I went back to Tripoli, to my hometown. Imagine that it was an 8-hour drive, but it was worth it. Guys, if you'd like to help to donate to Nighty's surgery, it would be awesome. And I really hope that one day we would be able to raise for that fence. That fence would get a lot of happiness to over 170 souls. Imagine that a lot of dogs cannot see sunlight just because they don't have any other option, or they might get shot.